Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, March 9th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds. Today's going to be warm. High 68. Tonight and overnight clear, low 45. And then we'll do it all over again tomorrow, but sunny and even warmer. Love this. High 70. If you are walking out, can you believe that? 70 tomorrow. And then like through Thursday, and then it gets cold again. But not like really cold, just, normal March cold. So if you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 44 and clear in Sleepy Hollow up in Westchester, 45 and clear in Lawrence over in New Jersey, and it's 46 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Two would-be terrorists cause chaos outside the mayor's home. Oil fields are hitting Iran. Is Subway shoving a thing again? The mayor sticks up for his wife as she likes October 7th posts celebrating the attacks. And the city wants to monitor your daily salt intake. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Kind of a complicated story, so follow closely. Maybe you saw that there was this protest right near Mayor Mamdani's home on Saturday. It was a right-wing group down with Islam. That was the theme of their protest. Jake Lang and was part of this protest. You may know that name. He's kind of known as an instigator, I guess is the best way to describe him. And then another group of protesters showed up against him. So altogether, by the way, it was not a lot of people, maybe 100, 120 people. And they were, screaming at each other. And then all of a sudden, these crude homemade bombs were thrown at the anti-Muslim people. Thank God they didn't go off, because they could have done an enormous amount of damage. They could have taken lives. And last night, FBI agents raided the homes of the two pro-Muslim protesters who allegedly threw those bombs. They're from Langhorne, Pennsylvania, which is a Philadelphia suburb. We're being told it's 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayami and 18-year-old Amir Balat. So the FBI shows up at their homes. By the way, this looks like a nice neighborhood. Big homes. You could see the FBI coming out of, hauling all kinds of stuff. And people who live in that neighborhood, of course, shocked to hear that these two essentially teenagers may have been involved in what could have been a terror attack here in Manhattan on Saturday afternoon.
That's what scares me, to know that it could have been made right there in their home, a home across the street from our homes.
Yeah, I don't blame her. The makeshift bombs were apparently a sports drink bottle that was stuffed and wrapped in construction tape. That's what was lobbed at this anti-Muslim group as the rival demonstrators squared off near Gracie Mansion during this planned rally. I guess we can call him a white supremacist, Jake Lang. People might not like that accusation, but here's what it sounded like. It was noisy. It was loud on Saturday afternoon. And amid that, Amid that craziness is when these two devices were sent over towards the anti-Muslim group. Here's Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch talking about what was in these bombs.
Based on preliminary examination and X-ray imaging, the devices, which were a bit smaller than a football, appear to be a jar wrapped in black tape, importantly, with nuts, bolts, and screws, along with a hobby fuse that could be lit.
It kind of sounds similar to the bombs. Remember those pressure cooker bombs that were used during the Boston Marathon? Screws, all kinds of stuff, because if they blow up, they can kill you, as they did in Boston during the Boston Marathon. So the law enforcement investigation, it continued Saturday, and they tried to figure out where these crude bombs had come from. Then they were able to find those two teenagers. They looked at their home last night, and then Sunday came, and that's when they found a car that they thought was connected to these two teenagers that they may have driven from Langhorne, Pennsylvania, to commit this act on Saturday afternoon. And so then they sent the bomb squad in. They closed off this neighborhood. This was East End Avenue between 81st and 82nd Street yesterday afternoon. Here's Terrence Monahan. You might remember him. He was the former NYPD chief of department. And he says it was pretty quick that the FBI and NYPD got involved in this investigation together once they realized there was now a car that may be connected to these two teenagers who allegedly threw these crude bombs on Saturday. I told you it was a little bit of a complicated story.
Would have killed people out there. So now as the investigation moves forward, we're looking into their car that was left on the scene, any devices there. Look at social media, see what's inspiring these individuals to conduct some sort of act like this.
And they've done that already. And the thought is they were inspired by ISIS videos, ISIS propaganda. That's the initial investigation.
You have a protest with two contrary sides together. You know, it's problematic. But when you add in the idea of someone looking to do a terrorist attack, looking to not just maybe fight or throw eggs, but to literally try and kill people, kill police officers responding, that adds an element that we haven't seen in New York in a long time.
Yeah, this could have been really serious. It could have taken lives. Thank God it did not. At 9 o'clock this morning, Mayor Mamdani, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch going to hold a press conference to update us on more of what they know. But I think we have it all, that these two are from Langhorne, Pennsylvania, came here on Saturday when they heard about this anti-Muslim protest outside the mayor's residence. By the way, the mayor was home at the time. Then lobbed, allegedly, these two crude bombs into the crowd of this anti-Muslim protest, clearly looking to do damage. Thank God neither went off. And then you had this odd side story where Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman-Siegel, he blamed the wrong protesters for hurling those explosive devices. On Saturday, he went on X, which used to be known as Twitter, and he said that the white Christian nationalists had thrown these crude bombs. Of course, it was the other way around. It came from the pro-Muslim group. He did not apologize, but he did say that, authorities should look into whoever threw these alleged bombs and throw the book at them. So sort of another sideline story to what was a long story that started Saturday afternoon, lasted into Sunday. Of course, we'll be talking a whole lot more about this coming up at 6 o'clock on Sid and Friends in the Morning. WABC News Time 5:09. Missiles continue to be shot into Iran overnight. Not as many are coming out, and we can tell that from the fact that in Israel today, the workforce had been told to work from home over the last couple of days in the first few days of the war, worried that the people wouldn't be able to make it to bomb shelters or people would be out and about when those missiles were fired. But today, the workforce in Israel has been told by the home front there that it's okay to go to work, which suggests that not very many missiles are being aimed or making it all the way to Israel. Over the weekend, President Trump was overseeing the dignified transfer of those U.S. service members killed during Operation Epic Fury. The president spoke about the somber ceremony at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware.
Very sad situation. To greet the families of the heroes coming home from Iran, coming home in a different manner than they thought they'd be coming home. But they're great heroes in our country.
The president, accompanied by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, the 6 Army Reserve soldiers died in an attack in Kuwait last Sunday, the day after the U.S. and Israel launched those strikes on Iran. All 6 service members were based out of Des Moines, Iowa.
When it comes to war, there's always that. But we're going to keep it to a minimum, I think, Pete.
They are Sergeant First Class Nicole Amour, Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant Declan Cody, Chief Warrant Officer Robert Marzon, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, and Sergeant First Class Noah Tejans. 5:11, Iran has named Mojtaba Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader. Khamenei is the son of the former supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, who was killed last month after a series of large-scale Israel missiles struck out against and hit the place where he was hiding. He was selected, the son, by Iran's Assembly of Experts, which is this 88-member body of elected senior clerics. This took place, we don't know exactly when, because there was one vote last week. Maybe there was a vote this week. But either way, the son has been chosen. Now, he's never been in office before. He's never been in politics before, which is awfully interesting. President Trump weighing in on this, saying that he must be involved in any appointment of a new leader in Iran. And he said the Ayatollah's son is unacceptable to him. The U.S. ambassador to the UN says the U.S. is seeing tremendous success in its military operations against Iran. Here's Mike Walls talking to ABC News yesterday.
Iran's Navy is largely sitting at the bottom of the ocean with over 40 ships now sunk. Major degradation to their ability to produce the ballistic missiles that have been striking so many of their Gulf neighbors.
Now, he was asked how long this operation will take, and of course, he didn't say. But he says the president's focused on Iran and making sure that it's no longer posing a threat to Americans or its allies.
So in terms of our military objectives, the president is right. We are not only ahead of schedule, we are winning.
Yes, so a number of American embassies, consulates around the world have been attacked in retaliation. Iran's foreign minister, he was speaking out yesterday, dismissing talk of a possible ceasefire as the conflict between the U.S. and Iran continues.
Well, they have to explain why they started this aggression before we come to the point to even consider a ceasefire. Of course, nobody wants to continue this war. This is not our war. This is not the war of our choice. We continue to defend ourselves, and we are defending our territory, our people, and our dignity. And our dignity is not for sale.
And that foreign minister asked over the weekend about reports that Russia is giving Iran intelligence about the location of U.S. forces in the Middle East. He was asked, is that true?
Well, a military cooperation between Iran and Russia is not something new. It's not a secret. It has been in the past, and it's still there and will continue in the future.
Yeah, so he didn't deny it.
Well, they are helping us in many different directions. I don't have any detailed information.
Iran has been firing missiles and drones at U.S. bases, other Middle East targets since the beginning of the war. The president over the weekend blaming Iran for that deadly strike on a school in the southern part of the country that happened right after Operation Epic Fury got underway. The president making the claim while speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One over the weekend.
We think it was done by Iran because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
But over the weekend, Trump administration officials were reportedly telling lawmakers in a closed-door briefing that the U.S. was targeting that area in Iran where a school was struck. More on that from correspondent Molly Hunter.
The school was built by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps on a compound once home to a military base. But multiple people on the ground, including a former principal, tell NBC News it hadn't been an active military base in more than a decade.
And 2 U.S. military officials apparently telling NBC News that the strike on the school was not by the Israelis, and that administration officials acknowledged to lawmakers that the U.S. was in that area.
In the first hours of U.S.-Israeli operations Saturday morning, airstrikes hit the Shajre Taibeh Elementary School in Manab, Iran.
And according to Iranian officials, 170 people were killed in that strike at that school. In a moment, we'll tell you how gas prices are being affected back here and what the White House might do to lower them. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Very happy to see this guy back. Welcome back, Justin Ellen.
Oh, thank you, Noam Layden. It's good to be back. I've got a fresh tan, a little bit of a stuffy nose, changing all these different climates, going to the beach and then back again and then back to the beach.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
No, it's tough for me. It's tough being me right now, but I'm feeling very refreshed. And
yeah, that'll last until about tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's need a vacation.
Yeah, exactly, right? By the end of this week, for sure. But no, it's good to be back with you guys. I missed you guys a lot.
And you didn't miss anything, by the way.
No. Right, exactly.
Very quiet here.
Interesting week to take off, that's for sure. But we're excited to get back and excited definitely to be back with my crew, you guys, of course. We'll hit the hardwood here to start sports. Noam out in Los Angeles. The Knicks lost 110-97 to the Lakers. Karl Anthony Towns had 25 points, 16 rebounds for the Knicks, who lost for just the second time in 6 games. Jalen Brunson scored 10 of his 24 points in the fourth quarter, but New York couldn't overcome 8 of 34 shooting on 3-point attempts in the second stop on its 5-game trip, which began with an impressive win at Denver. Mikal Bridges went scoreless in 27 minutes. Up next for the Knicks, they'll be in Los Angeles again tonight, this time against the Clippers. That's a 10 p.m. tip-off there. Also tonight, the Nets, they're back in action out in Brooklyn at home. We'll welcome in the Memphis Grizzlies. That's a 7:30 p.m. tip-off there. World Baseball Classic, that is well underway here. The United States will play their third Pool B game tonight against Mexico. USA is 2-0 right now in pool play. They got 2 games left to play before reseeding in the quarterfinals, so go up against Mexico. It's a good team tonight. Should be a good game, and one game to look forward to on the ice tonight. The Rangers are out in Philadelphia against the Flyers. That is a 7 p.m. puck drop there. That is your Sports Know, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 519. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer calling on President Trump to release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to bring the prices down. The New York Democrat urging immediate action to deal with soaring gas prices due to the Middle East conflict.
American families cannot afford to simply wait and hope for the price to come down. The solution is right here at home, Trump. Use the SPR, release it, prices will come down.
The senator says multiple presidents from both parties have used the SPR during global disruptions before.
Never had a war like this where the president cannot articulate why we went to war and why we're putting our soldiers at risk and why we're spending billions and billions of dollars, which could be spent here at home to reduce the costs Americans pay.
AAA reports the national average now $3.45 a gallon. Now, the Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, says gas prices will come down in a matter of weeks, not months after the conflict's over.
We want it back below $3 a gallon, and it will be again before too long. Look, you never know exactly the time frame of this, but in the worst case, this is a week's. This is not a month's thing.
California has the highest price in the nation right now, hovering about $5.15 a gallon. If you live in Kansas, the average price is $2.91 a gallon, but of course that means you still live in Kansas. 5:20, as the U.S. steps up military action in the Middle East, Iranian Americans here in New York keeping a close eye on what's happening in their home country. Saman says he worries about his parents, who still live there, and is mourning the deaths of 5 of his friends.
People from the regime murdered 50,000 people like a few weeks ago. So many families, they lost family members, and we okay with this bombing, and this stress take them down. That's the feelings every single Iranian has.
And Salman says the military action's the only way that his family and loved ones will become free.
This regime dictatorship is not going to go down by peace. I'm very happy what's happening. I hope very soon it will be end of this regime and people will celebrate this freedom. And on the first one, I'm going to fly back to Iran and celebrate it with my friends.
Yeah, he won't be the only one. 521, let's bring it back home down to Florida. President Trump announcing over the weekend this new military coalition to combat drug cartels in the Western Hemisphere.
Together we'll protect our sovereignty, our security, and our cherished freedom and independence.
The president hosting the first meeting of the Shield of the Americas. It's this group of Latin American leaders who have signed on to this initiative to combat drug cartels.
We will not allow hostile foreign influence to gain a foothold in this hemisphere. The nations gathered here today are filled with unlimited potential. You have tremendous potential.
President making that announcement from Florida. From Florida, let's head over to Selma, Alabama. Thousands gathering there over the weekend. 61st annual Bridge Crossing Jubilee, this year's commemoration of the 1965 Bloody Sunday event, paying special tribute to the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, who passed away last month at the age of 84. His youngest son, Yusef Jackson, praising his father for his leading role in the civil rights movement.
Even in illness, he was big. On his feet. Amen. In his wheelchair. Yes. All right. Behind the podium. Even when Parkinson's and progressive supranuclear palsy quieted his voice, he was still big.
So Jackson was in Selma as the city marked the day decades ago when Alabama state troopers, they attacked peaceful protesters as they were attempting to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge, trying to get their right to vote.
He believed that leveling the economic playing field could generate economic power and create a society where every child could reach their God-given potential. Yes. We have come far, but much work remains.
On Friday, by the way, was the funeral for the late Jesse Jackson. 523, some heavy hearts at the University of Colorado campus after the loss of football player Dominic Ponder, who died last Sunday in a single car crash. They had a campus memorial over the weekend. Here's head coach Deion Sanders, who remembered Ponder.
Dom was chosen to unite y'all. Dom was chosen to bring you together. Dom was chosen to override all ethnicities, social climates, background, and ideologies and thought process.
Ponder died after he lost control of his car. It crashed through a guardrail, slid down an embankment. The Colorado State Patrol still investigating the crash, but they say speed was likely the biggest factor.
He was built right from the inside out, and I really admire him, right? I don't know what I'm good at, but I am good at seeing and reading people, and he was one of the great ones.
Yeah, the team decided to keep on practicing in his honor after he had passed away. 524, we're hearing more about this Today Show reunion that took place last week. Savannah Guthrie showed up at those studios, the NBC studios at Rockefeller Center. She didn't go on the Today Show, but she wanted to be there apparently to thank members of her crew for standing by her side as they continued to look for her mother, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. NBC's Craig Melvin, who is one of the hosts of the Today Show, talking about what it was like over the weekend when Savannah came back.
Savannah, resilient, saying she plans to return to Today. I have every intention of coming back. I don't know how to come back, but I don't know how not to. You're my family, and I would like to try.
Yes, so there hasn't been really a whole lot of movement in the case itself, and so at some point, I guess she's thinking I have to get back to my normal life, and that maybe that's what this was part of. Here's more from Craig Melvin about this reunion between Savannah and her co-hosts at the Today Show off camera last week.
Savannah has spent much of the past 34 days with her family in Arizona, only stepping out in public once to read messages of support. But through it all, she's expressed her deep gratitude online. Savannah surrounded by support in Studio 1A for the first time since Nancy's disappearance. The morning met with a swell of emotions as she embraced our Today Show family, thanking the team for caring about my mom as much as I do.
Now, the Pima County Sheriff, speaking out last time was on Friday, said he thinks they're getting closer to finding out what happened to Nancy Guthrie and who may have abducted her, but he didn't give any more information on that. 526, the Obama Presidential Center, the grand opening celebrations in Chicago, they're going to start in June. The news announced by the Obama Foundation over the weekend, with the former president saying in a video that hope is getting a permanent home in Chicago.
This is not a monument to the past. It's a living destination for people who refuse to accept the status quo.
Okay, so what we're being told is the dedication will take place on June 18th.
Starting on June 19th, you can visit the Obama Presidential Center, a campus with a world-class museum, a new branch of the Chicago Public Library, sweeping green spaces filled with public art, yes, a basketball court, and more.
Okay, so some big celebration on the 18th. The library will open to the public on the 19th. A new study suggests AI may be giving some workers what researchers are calling brain fry. The study, published in the Harvard Business Review, found that people constantly using multiple AI tools reported more decision fatigue and more errors. The study also found that AI can reduce burnout and creative. The study revealed that less brain fry was seen among employees whose managers were intentional with their AI use.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, March 9th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mix of sun and clouds today. The high 68. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 45, and even nice for Tuesday. Sunshine, high 70. If you're walking out the door with us right now, thank you so much. It's 44 and clear in Sleepy Hollow up in Westchester, 45 and clear in Lawrence over in New Jersey, and it's 46 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 540. A crazed man shoved two strap hangers, including an 83-year-old man, onto Upper East Side subway tracks. This was about noon yesterday. The elderly victim, 31-year-old man, were separately waiting for a train at the Lexington Avenue 63rd Street station. The stranger comes up from behind them and then pushes both of them onto the tracks below.
It just kind of reminds you that you do have to watch your back, regardless of where you are in the city, what time it is. Like, it kind of sheds light on what can happen even when your head's in a place of that's not going to happen.
Yeah, so Good Samaritans quickly swooped in. They jumped onto the tracks, pulled this duo back up onto the platform, and thankfully they're going to be okay. Of course, they're hurt because they fell onto the track bed. Some subway riders who saw this all play out say it was all pretty shocking.
A lot of crazy stuff happened, and then we're in New York City. Get me some bear mace and a little...
I stay in the middle if there's an open area like right here, or I'll stand real close to here. My back is turned against a surface so nobody can come from behind me.
Yeah, the shover ran off before he could be cuffed by cops. Two victims did not know each other. No train, thankfully, was entering the station at the time. EMS arrived at the scene. They took these two guys to Cornell Hospital, both in stable condition.
There's a lot of people like EDPs around here as well, mental illness, and I feel like they need help the most.
The subway stations that I used to go to, they now have the installed fences.
Yeah, maybe they need more of those. I checked in with the NYPD early this morning. That shover, he is still on the loose this morning. A gunman opened fire outside a Brooklyn bar early yesterday morning, injuring 4. The shooting happened outside Richard's Restaurant and Bar. That's in Canarsie. Police say the victims, 2 men, 2 women, between the ages of 38 and 44, all shot in either the arm, the leg, or the toe. Video shows a guy walking up to this group of people in front of this bar that's on Avenue L, exchanging some sort of words, and then maybe 10 seconds later, this guy, he pulls out a gun and he starts firing at these people. I mean, they're close by. Thankfully, they weren't more hurt.
It was scary. It was really scary. One of the bouncers, the guy pointed a gun at him and he ran. He said he ran for his life.
Yeah, police say in the end, 4 people were hit with bullets, everyone taken to the hospital expected to survive. They're not sure exactly what sparked the violence, if these 4 knew the gunman or if it was just something that happened just in those short moments when he came up to these people outside the bar early Sunday.
I didn't realize nobody got shot until my friend came with his toe was shot off, like his toe was bleeding.
Yeah, police looking for the gunman who appeared to take off on foot down East 94th Street. They have not caught up with him. 5:43, Mayor Mamdani's wife, Rama, facing a lot of criticism after liking social media posts about the October 7th, 2023 attacks on Israel. An investigation by the Free Press found that Dawaji liked an Instagram post that referred to sexual violence reported during the October 7th attacks as a mass rape hoax. Another post she apparently liked described the attack, which killed 1,200 people, as a collective liberation. There were others, apparently, that have been uncovered since. And the findings have prompted some strong reactions in New York, which is, of course, home to the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. Myra Clark-Siegel is the head of the American Jewish Committee. She says she was horrified by this report. She spoke out yesterday.
I was shocked. I checked my phone several times to make sure that I read it correctly, because I think that speaks for itself. You know, the fact that we're having this conversation really begs the question about this issue at all. The fact that anybody is liking a social media post, much less with the reports up to 70 similar kinds of media post likes, that celebrates the murder or the sexual assault, the kidnapping of women, is unacceptable.
So the mayor was asked about this on Friday during a press conference, and listen to his answer when he was asked, hey, there's evidence that your wife liked posts on Twitter and elsewhere that celebrated the October 7th attack on Israel. So here's his answer to that.
My wife is the love of my life, and she's also a private person who has held no formal position on my campaign or in my city hall. I, however, was elected to represent all 8.5 million people in the city, and I believe that it's my responsibility, because of that role, to answer any questions about my thoughts and my policies and my decisions.
So nowhere does he condemn what his wife did, which is sort of shocking. The head of the Long Island Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center says the mayor's answer to the questions about his wife are shameful.
There should be no other answer than I do not condone this.
Of course.
You know, what happened on October 7th to the Jewish people was absolutely unacceptable. And that's it. There should be no other statement.
Yeah, frightening that the wife of the mayor is liking posts celebrating the October 7th. You can't make this stuff up, can you? In a moment, we'll tell you about an idea the mayor has to raise that $5 billion, the budget gap that needs to fill. Oh, he has this idea that's not going to be very popular. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. We'll start out here in L.A. The Knicks lost 110-97 to the Lakers. Karl Anthony Towns had 25 points and 16 rebounds for the Knicks, who lost for just the second time in 6 games. Jalen Brunson scored 10 of his 24 points in the fourth quarter, but New York couldn't overcome 8 of 34 shooting on three-point attempts in the second stop on its 5-game trip, which began with an impressive win at Denver. Mikal Bridges went scoreless in his 27 minutes. Up next for the Knicks, they'll be in Los Angeles again tonight, this time against the Clippers for a 10 p.m. tip-off there. As for the Nets, they're back in action tonight as well out in Brooklyn. They got a 7:30 p.m. start against the visiting Memphis Grizzlies. World Baseball Classic, Team USA back at it tonight for their third Pool B contest. They're 2-0 so far. They go up against also currently undefeated Mexico at 2-0. That's an 8 p.m. first pitch there tonight. And one hockey game on the ice to look forward to out in Philadelphia. Rangers will be there starting at 7. That is your Sports Noah, man. I'm Justin Olek on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:48. Mayor Mamdani, the administration City Hall, they're considering converting the city's free on-street parking areas to metered parking as the Big Apple tries to figure out a way to fill that $5 billion budget hole. The first deputy mayor apparently floating this idea last week that he says it needs to be discussed when asked about charging for what is currently free parking parking, and they would change these free parking spots into metered one. Now, this would not be very popular, but the thought is it could raise maybe up to $1 billion, maybe more a year. Lots of local politicians in the outer boroughs slamming this idea, saying it's horrible. About 25%, or 800,000 of the Big Apple's more than 3 million street parking spots are metered. So that tells you how much they could make. So the study argued that 750,000 additional parking spots would need to become metered to rake in dough and help relieve the congestion in the city, and also help fill the big budget hole that the mayor is dealing with. But we're hearing from people like Queens Republican Councilwoman Joanne Ariola. She called the paid meter proposal another tax on middle and working class New Yorkers. She says not every New Yorker has the luxury living in a place like Astoria or Manhattan where there are plenty of transit options. She doesn't need to be able to park the car. So she doesn't like this idea. But apparently they're out there floating it. So far, they haven't brought it forward to the city council anyway. 550, two newly introduced city council bills are looking to make it easier to tell which menu options are healthier at certain restaurants across the city. Chain restaurants with 15 or more locations would be required to put warning labels on their menus for food items that are high in sugar or sodium. Right now they're indicated by a small black and white triangle with a spoon or a salt shaker. But they want to make this clear to people who are buying these food options. I mean, my thought is if you're going into a fast food restaurant, don't you know already that that's probably not good for you? But apparently maybe there's people who don't. So two newly introduced city council bills are looking at make it easier to tell which menu options are healthier at certain restaurants. One of the people pushing this idea is Bronx Council member Oswald Feliz. He's the lead sponsor of this bill that would help, he says, curb chronic illness associated with people who are eating high sugar or high salt foods.
It continues to be a top cause of health complications, including high blood pressure, heart failure, and much more. This is literally a silent killer, and it's especially a silent killer in some of our most vulnerable communities. There are restaurants that have extreme and disturbing levels of sodium in meals, disturbing levels that are not even properly disclosed.
Okay, I think most people know this already, so the key is you just don't eat a lot of it, right? But maybe I'm wrong. City Council's Health Committee looking into this proposal that would make the warning labels easier to notice. They would have this bright red accompanied by bold capital letters that say sugar warning or high sodium warning.
I don't pay attention to it too much, but I do think it's something that people should be aware of and pay more attention to if they want to take care of their body, I guess.
Very helpful. That will be very helpful because that is, you put the community aware about the advantages or disadvantages and, the medical conditions, especially people who have a medical condition.
Okay, those are some New Yorkers hearing about this. So under this proposed change for the sodium warnings, labels would be added to dishes with 1,800 milligrams or more of sodium. Currently, the warning that you get now is only smacked on items that have 2,300 milligrams. More items would be labeled as having high sodium under this proposal. And mostly this would affect fast food restaurants because it's restaurants with 15 or more of them across the city. So, New Yorkers aren't against this. They say, it's always good to be armed with information.
Knowing what you're putting in your body is probably a good thing. Going to chain restaurants, probably not the best idea to begin with. And, any sort of warning or label to educate people going into those types of places, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think the key is just don't eat it too much. Once in a while, it's not so bad. McDonald's, Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut, some of the restaurants that would be affected, they did not respond to comment about this idea from the city council. A men's homeless shelter being proposed for Staten Island, and it's facing a lot of opposition from local officials.
The shelter on Arthur Kill Road in Tottenville would have 160 beds and is projected to open in mid-2027. Gothamist reports elected officials from both parties are speaking out. City Council member Frank Morano and Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis are calling on the city to reconsider. State Assembly member Charles Fall, a Democrat, said the city's obligation to care for the homeless must go hand in hand with respect for the communities where these facilities are proposed. I'm Larry Kofsky, NBC News Radio.
NYPD searching for 3 suspects behind the fatal shooting of a teenager that took place in Brooklyn on Friday night.
Police say it happened just before midnight near 46th Street and 9th Avenue in Sunset Park. Cops say 14-year-old Jahari Kantave was inside a car with the driver when 3 people wearing ski masks came up to the car and started arguing with him. Kantave was shot in the head. ABC 7 reports the victim was being driven home by his friend's father when he was shot. His friend's father told ABC 7 he was following his son's moped when the suspects started harassing his son. It's unclear if Kantave was the intended target. I'm Lisa Salvati in New York.
A wild scene in Lindenhurst, Long Island over the weekend. A man who's currently on probation was arrested after multiple guns were found in his home over the weekend. Suffolk County Police say investigators were conducting a search of 54-year-old Todd Pinelli's residence in accordance with conditions of his probation when they realized that he had a false wall in his basement, and behind that false wall, they found 22 guns. Well, that didn't help him too much. Neighbors, of course, not too happy to hear that somebody who's on probation had 22 guns in their basement.
Well, the fact that he's on probation, he had ghost guns, that is not good. We do have a really nice neighborhood. We usually don't have problems, but you know what? It happens all around Long Island. It's any neighborhood. I don't care how good or bad the neighborhood is.
Investigators recovered 8 assault rifles. Again, this is a guy on probation. 10 semi-automatic handguns, 4 revolvers, as well as multiple ammunition feeding devices. This, again, all behind this false wall in his basement. And when they pulled this false wall down, boy, he had it like nicely shelved. I mean, it looked nice, but of course it was against the law to have all this.
I think it was like crazy that someone would have that many guns in their house.
Yeah, we've been here 26 years, never really had a problem at all. And try not to worry, just keep on guard.
Yeah, so Pinelli now charged with multiple felony weapons charges. He'll be arraigned in First District Court a little bit later today. Today is National Nap Day, which is probably a good idea, considering a lot of people feeling a little groggy from the time change, even me, who was making fun of it last week.
The day after the switch to daylight saving time is the most sleep-deprived day of the year. We've lost an hour of sleep, and according to the Sleep Foundation, channeling your inner cat and taking a nap is good. It improves alertness, cognitive performance, boosts memory, and puts you in a much better mood. All good things. But sleep experts say it actually takes 4 days of solid slumber to fully catch up on that 1 hour of missed sleep. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, coming up.
Bree Tennis, be quiet. I got to tell you, I did wake up Sunday at 8:30.
Right.
Which is unusually late for me.
Which is the old 7:30, of course.
Right. Usually I'm up between 6:30 and 7:30 on the weekends.
Right.
This morning I got up at exactly 2:35 a.m.
Which
Weekdays,
is the old 1:35.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I got up at 8:30 and I was a little tired. We had gone out the night before, then the other night to Adrian's, a terrific restaurant in Broad Channel, and had my coffee and never really felt good till about noon. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to get rid of this. I don't know why. I personally like it, but it's light out later. I took out the garbage last night, and it was kind of warm, not as warm as it's going to be the next 3 days, but it was kind of warm. I was wearing just sweatpants and a sweatshirt, taking out the garbage at about 6:40, and it was still light out.
It was like a beautiful sky last night,
it was
too.
a gorgeous orange and red, and it was just great. I love the warm weather. I can't. These next 3 days are a long time coming.
Yeah, it's like a tease, though, because, you still got to get through March.
No, I know.
April,
I think I see temperatures on the 10-day forecast back in the 30s next week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be angry again, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. My wife was taking the winter jackets to the basement, and I was like, no, it's too early. Too early. You're jinxing us.
No.
Yeah.
My daughter was born April 7th, 2004. It snowed.
Yeah.
When I was a child, we were trying to go to Florida for Passover. It was a snowstorm, and I can't tell you how many days, early April, when I was working at WFAN, and we do opening day at Shea Stadium, freezing to death. I remember one game in particular, Mets and Cubs, me and Jody McDonald and Chris, remember the board up there, Chris Majikowski?
Oh, well, Chris Majikowski does the Mets now.
Yeah, back then he did the Mets. So I'm talking about me and Jody back in like 2002, 2003, and I think the game time temperature was 31 degrees.
Oh my God! Can you imagine hitting a ball or catching a ball?
I couldn't even sit
some
in the
opening
booth.
days have been the nastiest.
Right, and we may get that this year because don't forget,
raw.
The baseball season, which when I was a kid used to start April 9th, April 10th, April 12th. This year, both the Mets and Yankees start March.
Yeah, that'll be great.
March 26th and March 27th, regular season baseball in Queens and the Bronx, and it could be freezing.
Yeah.
Good. Good job.
All right.
The show was already better than the competition. I'm just trying to tell you.
We have competition?
No, we don't. No.
Yeah.
That'll be the only mention of that.
Speaking of which, I have to show you something off the air.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.